Point 1. Inside the bookstore world. Sean Bythell owns the biggest second-hand bookshop in Scotland. As his passion for the book-selling business grows, so does his despair about its future. With over 2 decades of expertise, his everyday interactions with various customers enabled him to classify them utilizing a Linnaean taxonomy system. He recognizes 7 classes of bookshop customers, bestowing each with a Latin name: peritus, expert; familia juvenis, young family; homo qui maleficas amat, occultist; homo qui decidet loiterer, senex cum barba, bearded pensioner; viator non tacitus, the not-so-silent traveler; and parentum historiae studiosus, family historian. Running a successful bookstore requires understanding and meeting customers' needs and aims. Aside from customer classifications, Bythell added a bonus classification: the staff, which included their different types. He also described the perfect customer that every bookseller wants and adores. Follow along with the summary to meet the sly antiquarian, the modest and retiring erotica browser, and the friendly yet clueless shop assistant student Hugo, alongside the much-adored bookseller favorites like the enthusiastic sci-fi fan, the ravenous railway collector, and the rarely seen perfect customer. Key point 2. Genus, the self-appointed expert. This type of customer is a self-appointed expert. They have no audience or a group of readers eager to hear what they have to say. The expert prefers to use long or complex words when short and simple language can be used to project intellectual superiority. 5 subtypes fall under this category. 1. Species, specialist. Indeed, navigating the vast array of subjects in a typical bookshop can be daunting for booksellers, often leading to gaps in their expertise. However, some customers enjoy this lack of knowledge, especially those who pride themselves on their specialized understanding. Specialists come into the shop to lecture the seller about their field of expertise and are delighted that their listener doesn't know anything about it. While some are socially savvy enough to realize that their interests might not be universal, they still take unique pride in their specialized knowledge, seeing it as a mark of their distinctiveness and a source of personal satisfaction. 2. Species, bore. This type of person will share their thoughts on every subject, sometimes even interjecting in other customers' conversations with their often offensive opinions or rants. They consider themselves to be polymaths. It's best to avoid or treat them with silence, since displaying even the slightest hint of interest can result in an endless tirade on the most unexpected subjects. 3. Species, helpful person. Some experts can be a big help. Helpful experts drop captivating information into short conversations that make the bookseller want even more. Their information gives the bookseller the knowledge they need to convince their other customers that the bookseller knows what they're talking about. 4. Species, antiquarian book collector. The antiquarian book collector is interested in a book as an object rather than a source of information. Their expertise lies in recognizing specific editions within their chosen area of collection. They know the intricate details and errors that can distinguish the various editions. They also habitually grumble about prices and tell booksellers they have seen a cheaper copy somewhere. 5. Species, home mechanic. For these enthusiasts, the world of reading revolves exclusively around automobiles. They tirelessly search for manuals, even extending their passion to buying manuals for friends' cars. These customers use the knowledge they get in books to do something practical. The specialist and the bore are the customers you want to kick out of your shop. Key point 3. Genus, the young family. Like every genus, this also has distinct subgroups to avoid. Young families bring their children into the shop, often frustrating the bookseller's efforts to keep it clean and organized. There are 4 types in this category. 1. Exhausted parents. Typically, these are couples with a big family, including at least 1 infant. The purpose of their visit is usually to exhaust or distract their children for some peace. 2. Abandoned child. It's not uncommon to see a dad leading his child into the bookstore with a book in hand, gently guiding them toward the children's area. Subtly making his way to the exit, he briefly informs the shopkeeper of his imminent return, which is usually significantly longer than the promised, just a minute. The parent will come back with loads of excuses and insincere apologies. 3. Aspirational parents. Eager to enhance their children's literacy, these parents compel them to read books they are not interested in. This approach often leads to the children's unhappiness, as they are pushed to advance faster than they desire. By contrast, children who can read the books that interest them appear happier and develop their reading at their own pace. 4. Book-loving children. Enthusiastic about books, these young readers are often seen coaxing, sometimes quite assertively, their less interested parents into visiting the bookstore with them. Design the children's section of the bookshop with adults in mind, as they also came there for nostalgia. Key point 4. Genus, occultist. The occultist has a firm conviction in the unbelievable and tends to have a strange sense of superiority. Typically found browsing bookshops alone, they may lack social skills and proper personal hygiene. There are 5 types. They include 1. Dark artist. Dressed in black, somewhat overweight, and drawn to works by Aleister Crowley, these individuals are primarily male and view sellers of occult books as unbelievers. They perceive the commercialization of profound mysteries as a disregard for Lucifer's true existence. This category may also include Wiccans. 2. Conspiracy theorist. It's a unique group among bookshop visitors that often inquires about specific subjects like September 11th, John F. Kennedy, and anti-Semitic conspiracy. At first glance, they blend in, making them less noticeable. If they come into the shop to sell books, they rarely have anything that interests other people. Their bags will contain books about UFs, voodoo culture, and poltergeists. Respect the interests of conspiracy theorists, as they prefer unconventional theories. 3. Tarot reader. The tarot reader gazes into crystal balls to predict the future. Some others include dream interpretation, Celtic mythology, horoscopy, palmistry, spiritual healing, and rune casting. Typically, they are recognizable by their distinctive attire, baggy clothing, and marks of pet hair on it. They also leave a lingering scent of stale incense in their wake. Confident that others will pay to hear their insights, they often purchase self-growth books to become entrepreneurs. 4. Ghost hunter. Though belief in ghosts is common, books about ghosts are rarely sought after in bookstores. Those interested in this category leave a memorable, sometimes bothersome, impression. 5. Craft enthusiast. Their similar fashion choices make it easy to confuse them with tarot readers. Predominantly women, these enthusiasts wander through the store with an air of mystery, elusive and indecisive, resembling undercover agents. They seem uncertain about their exact needs, often spending time without purchasing anything of practical use. Did you know? A recent Ipsos poll, 2021, shows that 36% of Americans believe in ghosts and 39% in UFOs. Key point 5. Genus, loiterer. The loiterer appears without any discernible reason, hovering in an unsettling manner. Loiterers create a sense of being on the verge of asking questions, so the shopkeeper must be close to them. However, if they ever ask you something, it won't be about books, typically asking about the time or a good lunch spot. Note that loiterers create an illusion of urgency in their presence. There are 4 types of species in this genus. 1. Erotica browser. The erotica browser is usually, but not exclusively, a man, typically elderly. They dress discreetly in long coats and hats, occasionally donning dark glasses. Attempting to appear discreet, they move erotic books to non-related sections, such as the railway section. They may even swap dust jackets to appear inconspicuous and not switch them back. Giggling adolescents also fall into this category. They meander through the aisles, barely suppressing their laughter as they uncover books rich in sexual themes. Yet, as soon as they hear their parents approaching, they hastily dash away from the erotica shelves. A stark contrast to this group is the young adult women. They don't shy away or rush off. Instead, they peruse the books with mixed feelings. 2. Loiterer without intent. They enter the shop to pass the time while waiting for a nearby errand, like cooking a takeout meal or washing a car. With no real plan to buy, they idly flip through pages, filling their wait time with casual reading. 3. Bored spouse. Considering books dull, they typically seek a cozy spot in the shop to settle down, often resorting to playing games on their phones while their partner reads. Signs of their growing impatience include crossed arms, audible sighs, and frequent glances at their watch. 4. Self-published author. The rise of self-publishing has paved the way for a wide range of authors, from the exceptionally talented to the less so. These authors, lacking major publishers' promotional support, often approach booksellers, attempting to persuade them to stock their books. Key point 6. Genus, bearded pensioner. Almost everyone in this genus travels the country in a motorhome or a caravan, complaining about everything but never buying anything. These individuals may park their motorhome in front of the shop, not caring that others cannot see the business. There are 4 types of species in this genus. 1. Lycra-clad. Usually, a couple, clad in lycra, will head to the survey map section, unfolding every map to plot their route for the week, thereby blocking a door or passageway. They fold the maps back incorrectly and leave the shop without saying a word to the staff. 2. Pantalons rouge. They are mostly older and either overweight or tall and lean. Pantalons rouge are not browsers. They know what they want and go after it with great determination. They don't care how much a book costs. 3. Downsizers. Exclusive to secondhand bookshops, downsizers are mostly pensioners and will try to convince you that the book they want to sell you is worth a fortune. In most cases, they are moving to a new home and want to part with some of their possessions. Be empathetic with downsizers, as they may offer items that mean a lot to them. 4. Miser. Misers are mean individuals who struggle to understand the concept of inflation. Some are confrontational and accuse the booksellers of overpricing a book. Key point 7. Genus, the not-so-silent traveler. The silent traveler is the pseudonym of Chang Yi, who interpreted every day with positive curiosity. The secret to his approach lies in an outsider's perspective that lacks context knowledge. Combining this method with his quiet and attentive observation, Yi captured the essence of the ordinary, presenting it in a fresh and captivating way to his readers. There are 5 types of species in this genus. 1. Whistler. These people aren't interested in buying books, but wander around the shop and decide to whistle. In most cases, there is nothing musical about the notes, and the whistler won't even stop despite the stares they get. 2. Sniffer. Afflicted by a cold, the sniffer refuses to blow their nose even when their noisy nasal inhalations are unpleasant and irritating. Meandering along the shelves, they will look at books and sniff every 3 seconds. 3. Hummer. While the whistler generates a series of unrecognizable notes, the hummer still attempts to stick to a recognizable tune. When they both choose to attend your shop, be ready for a devastating experience. 4. Farter. Whether silent or audible, farters usually have the manners to find a quiet, free corner in the shop to do their business, but occasionally do it at the counter. Spotting them sometimes can be a daunting task. 5. Tutter. Characterized by their perpetual dissatisfaction, they're easily recognizable by their constant head-shaking and disapproving sounds. These individuals seem to thrive on disappointment, and no effort on your part can meet their standards. Their conversations revolve around complaints, without which they seem to have little else to discuss. The not-so-silent travelers don't observe quietly. They like to draw attention to themselves consciously or unconsciously. Key point 8. Genus. Family historian. Beitel firmly believes that tracing family lineage isn't noteworthy or significant, considering our shared ancestral roots. People who study their family history are usually doing so to make a point, and it's usually a fairly petty one. Sean Beitel. Americans. Many have roots in rural Scotland and often maintain a strong Scottish identity. As a result, they eagerly search for books about their clans in bookstores, often overestimating the amount of literature available on their specific family history. In Beithel's observation, this intense interest in ancestral roots seems predominantly an American trait. However, a profound fascination with their family backgrounds may also occur in members of other countries. For instance, Australians and New Zealanders are sometimes eager to learn more about their past. Tracing family roots back through generations may strengthen personal identity. Key point 9. Genus. Staff. The staff is indispensable in any bookstore, serving as the essential link between the volumes and customers. They are the industry's representatives, working tirelessly on the front lines. There are 5 types of staff. 1. Student Hugo. Usually, a relative of the bookstore owner, Hugo comes from an affluent background. He finds himself working in the bookstore, not out of choice, but due to a decision by a bored parent or a mischievous godparent who thinks a summer in the shop would be an eye-opening experience for him. Hugo doesn't shine in his role, failing to connect with other staff members or assist customers effectively. 2. Student Mary. Like Hugo, Mary works in the bookshop during her university break, but her reasons differ. Driven by a need for income and a passion for art, Mary is more knowledgeable and capable of assisting customers. Despite her helpful nature, she battles with confidence issues and self-doubt. 3. Hipster. This type is the antithesis of the previous one. The hipster's presence in the bookstore is more about being seen than helpful. They often give off an air of detachment, immersed in their world, seemingly deep in thought or lost in a book, all while idly stroking their beard. Their attitude toward customer interruptions ranges from unhelpful to resentful. 4. Secondhand bookseller. Typically self-employed, this individual sells books out of necessity rather than choice. Their preference for tangible books stems from a disconnection with the digital world. Years in the trade have cultivated in them an apparent disdain for customers, a byproduct of their extensive experience. They are so ingrained in the bookselling world that they can barely recall how or when they started. 5. Manager. Smartly dressed, punctual, and enthusiastic, the manager believes the customer is always right. They most likely won't be in secondhand bookshops and will be more common in bookstores that sell new books, sharply contrasting with the first 3 types. If you truly need help in the bookshop, try finding a manager or a student Mary. Key point 10. Genus. Perfect customer. Customers that each bookshop owner dreams about cherish the time spent amid secondhand books, recognizing the profound value in the worlds crafted by brilliant minds. For them, diving into these literary realms is an escape from everyday concerns. However, this type of customer is becoming increasingly rare, as with the emergence of electronic books, fewer and fewer people value paper copies. You never know which edition will be a precious rarity years later, so treat your books carefully. Types of perfect customers include the fiction collector, who is always looking for rare editions and never negotiates, and the railway collector who treats you like a lord and likes to read anything about railway and trains. Another ideal group comprises reading enthusiasts who enter a store with a desire to find something for themselves, yet without a specific title in mind. They are receptive to various options and invariably leave the shop with a purchase. Moreover, they value the books appropriately, willingly paying the price without initiating a degrading debate over them. The last type of the perfect customer is the sci-fi fan who never comes alone. They know their fellow customers and spread the word about new collections. They are rarely disappointed, provided you have something in stock by their favorite authors. A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one. George R.R. Martin. Conclusion. Booksellers are forced to interact daily with different kinds of customers, from the rude and offensive to the interesting and charming. Besides, the money made from selling books and the interactions with each customer, despite their different peculiarities, makes the job exciting and worthwhile. No matter the type of customers they are, beneath their hardened exteriors lies a kind human heart. The book-selling trade is much more than the conventional buyer and salesman. The knowledge of the different categories of customers will make booksellers take up different roles at various times. These roles can include that of a detective, psychologist, agent, or even a scholar. Whatever role it is, it will always be a step further from the typical part of a bookseller. When categorizing book enthusiasts, it's important to remember that any classifications only capture broad traits. In truth, individuals are quite complex, each exhibiting a unique mix of nuanced characteristics that defy simple labels. Try this. From the broad classification of the customers and staff you find in a bookshop, find the category you fit into. Reflect on how you can become a better customer or staff.